Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and Blue Jays fans of all ages. Welcome to the Jaybird Watching Podcast, home of the Jays fans' unofficial bar room chat. Our hosts Craig Gordon, Liz McGuire, and Jason Lyons are here to bring you all the words on these birds. We are here to have fun and talk baseball with all of you, so have those questions ready in the chat. Special thanks to our sponsor, Jaybird Baseball Company, Canada's baseball brand. So grab a bar stool, your favorite beverage, and let's talk some baseball. Let me hear you, Jays Nation. We are live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Jaybird Watching. I am your host, Craig Boren, here with me, as always, my buddy, Jason Lyons, with the view from the boat, my friend. Is that where we're at?
I'm live from, I think it's the Queen of Cowichan something here. Can you guys hear me okay or not?
Way down in Dunedin, I could hear you. Yes.
There it is.
Perfect. So yeah, I'm coming back from Nanaimo on my way back to the mainland in Vancouver. At least it didn't snow today here because yesterday was repellent. But it's cold, it's windy, it's rainy. But big win for Canada today, and a lot of really fun stuff going on.
I saw that.
100%. That is a huge win. And then to be with us to talk about Blue Jays celebrating, Team Canada, the World Baseball Classic, and everything 50th anniversary with the Toronto Blue Jays in the town of City of Dunedin. Steven Spanberg is joining us. Steven, how the heck are you? It's been a bit.
Man, I tell you, things. I have to apologize for that weather you're in, Jason. It was about 80 degrees today, not a cloud in the sky, and perfect day for baseball and spring training here in beautiful Dunedin.
So we don't get a ton of snow when it does snow.
Yeah.
Jason, I felt like it was a little karma getting back at you and then making fun of Liz and I for all the snow that we get in the Lake Ontario area on the other side of the country. So I felt like it was a little deserved at that point.
Yeah, for sure, 100%.
So, Jason, I assume from the wonderful fun that you were discussing, Team Canada have won kind of a big one today. What do you got? Lose you? All right. Guess we're going to just talk this one out and get Jason to pop in here anyways. So Team Canada won a huge game, and they're going to move on at this point in the World Baseball Classic. It's very fun, very exciting. The World Baseball Classic has been incredible on all accounts. Steven, how much of it have you gotten a chance to watch as you've been obviously at certain spring training facilities?
Yeah, it's I've caught as much as I can. Obviously, I'm a fan of Team USA. I'll tell you, I enjoy watching Team USA, but that Dominican Republic team, they got a lot of household names, and now with the Americans getting beat, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a wild finish, and I'll tell you, that Dominican team, though, I think they could be the one to beat. It's like an all-star lineup.
Yeah, tons of firepower, including our very own Vlad Guerrero Jr., who has been showing off said firepower. It just keeps it interesting, right?
Yeah, exactly. With Junior Caminero, and then you forget Juan Soto's in the lineup, and man, there's some players on that team.
That team has just gives the center up things here while Jason's off for a minute. That team has Julio Rodriguez, a gentleman that took us to the brink in a ALCS this year, batting 8th, Steven.
Yeah,
it's wild.
Exactly.
I just don't get it. It's out of control. It's one of those crazy items that I just can't say the amount of talent. So you look at Team Canada's stock lineup. All these World Baseball Classics teams are just insanely talented. USA is an all-star team. Mexico is an all-star team. Japan, blah 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 blah. Just right down the line, it's been some very fun baseball to watch. And we talked about having the fun playoffs that we just had. It feels eerily similar to what we were dealing with in the World Series and the postseason as Blue Jays fans this past year.
Yeah,
we're only in the first round.
Right. It's enjoyable to watch their loyalty to their country. It's a lot of sportsmanship, gamemanship. So yeah, it's been enjoyable. Every inning that I've watched, I've enjoyed.
Good deal. So as far as those other innings and stuff go, you've mentioned you've been to a plethora of Blue Jays games so far this spring. Tell us the inside scoop. What have you been seeing? How much fun you been having at the ballpark? Who do you like?
Well, it's just at that time of the year where Dunedin becomes alive. You get a chance to see the Mets, the Yankees, the Tigers, the Braves. So you get to see Major League Baseball, but it all comes back to our relationship and myself being a big Blue Jays fan. For the most part, I think our crowds have been good. We did have the day the Mets were in town. It was brutal. I mean, we had that wind coming from. I felt like it was coming from Ontario down, and I think that affected the crowd that day. The next day, the Yankees were in town. It was still chilly for us, but I think I go to every game and I do pay attention, and I think the crowds are equal, if not a little bit better than last year. I know when I was up there, you and I talked. I'm the liaison to the Blue Jays, so I take a lot of pride in what we, as a city, and what we put together. And I love being in the crowd. I love talking to the fans. And right now, I'm very pleased as a city commissioner, and as well as a Dunedin resident. I just live a block from the stadium, and I think it's going real good. I think things are good for the city.
Yeah, my friends actually used to live when I was my frequent visiting. They live right down by the police station, so I used that parking lot right there and everything where we always used to walk from, and it was just a great little spot to be in right there. They've obviously since moved on to some other places and separated, unfortunately, but at the end of the day, that's life. But it was always nice to be down there every spring. So Jason, I can see you look like you have a good internet connection for a moment. Hit us. What are you up to? What's on the mind?
Is it working? You got me
out and clear, my friend.
Perfect. Yeah, I mean, I think it's been an interesting start to the Jays season for sure. I think that spring training has been a lot of fun so far. I mean, Stephen, you can probably attest to this. It looks like the team is having a lot of fun. It looks like they've sort of bled that extreme fun they were having last year, into this season. Being a million miles away on the other side of the country, who do you see as being sort of like there's lots of talk about who might make it out of camp this year and actually get a spot on the do you see anybody who you've seen that could potentially snipe a spot on the big league team this year?
I'm not sure that I've noticed a true sleeper that no one would have expected. I've seen quality play out of the starters. The new third baseman is playing well. You can see he's very used to playing it.
He's sure as hell looking pretty good for Team Japan.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Just saying.
Yeah, and we've talked before. I'm a big Dalton Varsho fan. I think he's hitting. He's playing that fundamental baseball that we know he does. There's been a relief pitcher that I've noticed pitched quite a bit this spring, and
does he have a little bit of a funky delivery?
His last name is Rogers. You knew where I was going, and it's got to be tough as a batter to go up, and dig in against him, because that ball comes from a weird spot. But the guy's tough. I've watched him many innings during the spring, and seems to be doing what he's supposed to do.
Yeah, he was one of our best pickups, I think, of the offseason, because we talked about this on one of the shows right when we picked him up as a free agent, Stephen, and the fact that you're going to go from Trey Savage that looks like he's throwing like this straight over, and then you're going to go to a guy that's like literally bowling a baseball up the home plate. It's going to be a very, how should I say this, eye-popping for a major league hitter to be able to wonder where the hell the ball is going to come from.
Yeah, and those hitters are so, they're so disciplined that, your average person would step up there and immediately, your first step would be to move away from it. But guy's got control, and I've been very impressed by him this spring.
Yeah, one guy that I wonder if you had a chance to see, and he's had most of his home runs in the spring so far, and most of his big hits were in opposing teams. But have you seen Eloy Jimenez as one of the gentlemen that's he was a minor league pickup last year? He seems to be, I'm looking forward to seeing him when I come down and see you all next week.
Yeah.
And he's one of those guys. He was just a huge monster player for the White Sox, giant rookie, and then just never stayed healthy. It might look like he's finally healthy again. And I didn't know if you had a chance to see him, but
I remember the name. Yeah. What position does he play?
He's an outfielder.
Okay. And there's been another outfielder, Jesus Sanchez.
Yep.
Another quality, you can tell, young guy. raw talent. And so yes, I have been. I've been able to see these guys, and I think nothing but a good future for the entire team.
Yeah, it's nice to see. Like last year, I felt like we were as good as we did. We strung some of it together. Was the unfortunate reality of it. We had to get over injuries, this thing, that thing, whatever it might be, and we still went to the promised land and literally went within inches on multiple accounts to a near victory of the World Series. The fact that the Blue Jays were able to do all of those things without that depth, which they're now going to have, is insanely impressive. And that Jesus Sanchez is one of those guys that screams that extra, really high level of depth.
Yeah. And I guess as a fan, an outsider looking in, but a fan, with the leadership of, from Mark Shapiro, Ross Atkins, I ran into him yesterday at the stadium, Coach Schneider, those guys know the levers to pull. And I think that right after that Game 7 of the World Series, they started putting together what we needed to finish it up, to take it over the finish line. And I think it's been a good off season, and I think they're putting together the pieces of the puzzle that maybe we had but didn't quite have enough. And I think it's going to be a good year. I think they've done a good job during the off season assembling the program.
Did you see Dylan Cease pitch yesterday?
Yes, I did.
My other biggest question. What did you think of the new guy?
Oh, he had a solid outing. It was kind of, you might know the answer to this. It's kind of an odd number. Was it like number in the 80s, maybe?
Yeah, because why not? He is definitely I feel like he would fit in really good on this show, because that's just like he just seems like that guy who would stumble into the bar and be like, "Hey, what's going on?" Like nothing's completely different, and hence the bar room chat that we are here on the Jaybird Watching podcast. And he definitely seems like just the guy's guy that just shows up and happens to throw a baseball at 98 miles an hour.
Yeah, exactly. But he was very solid, very solid, and I believe that was the first time that I got to see him this spring.
Yeah. And he's been electric. He hasn't pitched a ton, but every time it's been like, oh my God, strikeouts. The crazy baseball stat that somebody forwarded to me right when we got him. And I would love to have him, but I think our Twitter feed is being mean because, Elon. So, in the midst of this whole thing, he sent me this stat that said the two most over the last 5 years, the two players that have had the most strikeouts in all of Major League Baseball, funny enough, are in the Toronto Blue Jays rotation. Dylan Cease, as we acquired him, and Kevin Gossman are over the last 5 years, the highest strikeout number total in Major League Baseball, the two of them. That's just pretty impressive that we have that in our starting rotation this year to be able to run into the season.
Yeah, I would have never thought that. And don't forget, we got a guy named Max Scherzer, and that's got some. That's
Jose Barrios looks like he's back in business and throwing with a little chip on his shoulder, I think. And then it's not even talking eventually when we get Shane Bieber back, and Trey Savage will ramp up eventually too, who you had the convenience and pleasure of watching a little firsthand at the beginning of last year. Yeah.
It's if I would have told you I knew where he was going,
that far, I
would have had my own show. But that's we use him around town as a real example of determination, stick with it, and he started here in Dunedin and he ended up made the big show, and all in 1 year. And that's a very impressive young man. I've never met him. I've never seen him on the street, but I'd love to shake his hand and congratulate him on what he accomplished.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, he just seems like every interview, the mindset is just perfect, spot on. Seems like a great guy, to your point. And then just like you said, just happens to be a really insanely good baseball player. I'm very happy the Blue Jays aren't just throwing him back out there, and they're giving him a hot minute to recoup.
Yes.
Still kind of have a rookie experience, because everybody also forgets that he is still eligible to be a rookie. He is not qualified to be a Major League Baseball player yet. He can still win the Rookie of the Year award this season for the Toronto Blue Jays, which just blows your mind after what you saw last season. Yeah. I was at the last game he pitched in Toronto. You were at one of the games I believe he pitched in the World Series. And just that literally going from single A to the major leagues in a span of a season. It's unheard of. Nobody does that. Even, all the stuff that was Paul Skeens a couple of years ago with the Pirates, he started at Double-A because of the college experience. He didn't get to go down to where you guys, like with the Dunedin Blue Jays being the at the moment, which still seems weird to me, is it was never like this for a long time, the current lowest avenue of the minor leagues for the Blue Jays, where they're literally getting their feet wet. And what a beautiful place to be doing that in. I'd be very happy if I was able to start my career in baseball with all of you down in Dunedin, just saying.
It's funny because we do talk about that around town, about the homegrown talent. There's a picture floating around of Vladdy Guerrero and Bo Bichette, where they look like, they're like, freshmen in high school. Exactly. So in a way, we're proud of that homegrown talent. That good taste in Dunedin water, and that this beautiful city to go from there to hit the big time. It is kind of a cool. It's a cool thing for us as a city.
Yeah. So talk to me about that part. I've been a frequent visitor. Unfortunately, COVID and other things since that in my life have really thrown the wrench in a lot of my travel. I used to be down there every spring training, and I would come down in October just because there was not as many tourists and it was still beautiful out. So as much as I do know, I want to share the love in the town of what you all get to enjoy every day. There is a vast history with the Blue Jays, and I would love to dive into that a little bit and what your view of the 50th anniversary point is at this point. It's also the 50th anniversary of this lovely relationship in the spring home that is Dunedin, Florida for the Blue Jays.
Yeah, that's, the way you set me up, I could talk for the next 2 hours.
Key.
Yeah, exactly. It's I've lived here in Dunedin for 44 years, so I've been going to games for many years. As we're rolling out this 50th year of calling Dunedin home, it's funny because there's the Dunedin Historical Museum, and longtime fans have went through their picture collections and the remember whens. To go from a stadium of 1,200 people to 8,500. The stadium's in the same spot, but it's growing probably 4 times since then. We've rolled out the red carpet. It kind of goes back to what we referred to as our watch parties last year during the World Series.
That was very fun. I'm going to be asking more about that, so don't you worry.
This year, when the welcome back, we had a beautiful golf cart parade. Here in Dunedin, that's a very common mode of transportation, and opened up the stadium, let the fans come in, and the fans enjoy our stadium and pay tribute to our team being back for the 50th season of calling us home.
Yeah, I thought that was a thing of beauty because, to your point, it's Florida. Golf carts are a prevalent thing.
Yes.
And to that point, you also have the wonderful marina and everything there. So I get it. It makes sense. I've made friends with Stuart that does the fan club for the Toronto Blue Jays around here. I can't wait to meet him in person finally when I'm down there on Wednesday. Next Wednesday, not today, obviously. I'm still in cold New York.
Right.
But the community and how accepting of it is of just the fact that baseball is a wonderful thing, all these amazing things going on in town, and then the baseball vibe. It's just, if I was constructing a town, I don't think I could turn around and just decide to pepper in all these awesome things that are going on with you and everybody in Dunedin. It's a great little small business place. The baseball is wonderful. The people are great. I just cannot say enough good things from my visits. And you always seem to have something new that brings me back every time. Not the barbecue place.
Well, Well, that's and I appreciate those kind words. And I speak for the entire city when I say that. Every year we talk about the 40 million folks of the country of Canada. They give us a chance, and they share that team with us. And I've said to a few of them, you give them, we get them for a month and a half to 2 months, and we get them ready. We're going to send them back, and we're going to make this partnership work. And it's a great city, and we are really very fortunate and very much appreciate what the Toronto Blue Jays bring to this city.
Yeah. So on that avenue, How long have you been in Dunedin and enjoying this relationship? As you mentioned, you are a Blue Jay fan, so
Yep.
clearly uniform.
Yeah. Well, I've lived here in Dunedin for 44 years. I remember going to games, 30 plus years ago. It was fun. It was important, but I had no idea what it was going to become. Back in those days, Craig, you could get free tickets to the Dunedin Blue Jays. They had stacks of them at Burger King. I remember you'd pick up a half a dozen just to go.
You get your quarter pounder, and then you can
and get a
Whopper.
and get a handful of tickets. And
and then you can get a few beers and enjoy a ball game. It sounds perfect to me.
Right. That's kind of what the idea was. And like myself personally, in 1996, I thought I was going to become a professional baseball coach, but I was just a T-ball coach, and we used to play our T-ball games at the stadium.
Perfect.
And I remember walking in there going, "Wow, this is where one of these little guys could end up." And that's when it really hits, when you peel back from what's on the field to everything behind the scenes, that part of the community, that supporting of the Little League, supporting of of the city. I think that that's where I really became captured, and I was maybe more of a fan of the Blue Jays before I became a real supporter of what they do for the community. Maybe I liked the baseball before the business, but now now I understand the entire package they bring.
Well, that's exactly kind of how this podcast happened. I literally started this thing in my car before I went into my day job, just saying, hey, this is what happened in all of the Blue Jays minor league system and the major league team. That was how I started doing this. I was a writer for the fan side, jaysjournal.com. And I was like, you know what? I like talking a lot more than I like writing. Here we go. Let's see what we had. But I was always the minor league writer. And that's what I loved about the connection that I was able to forge over the years. And I met all the announcers. I got to catch up with whoever the new person is, but I missed that connection since Jim left. But it was just always so much fun to talk minor league baseball. And there's something just infectious and fun about it, because it's serious. It's these guys' day jobs, and they're trying to get as good as they humanly possibly can get to the major leagues. But it is closer to the movie Bull Durham than it is getting to the the real of, the serious part. But it is so great to see them. A couple of years ago, they won the Florida State League as the Dunedin Blue Jays.
Yes.
And it's always fun to see that extra bit done in the competitive edge. And there is tons of competition in the Florida State League. And the Blue Jays are really one of the last teams that are holding on to the actual Blue Jays name, which is very interesting to me. Everybody else is like the Stone Crabs or the Jumbo Shrimp and everything now, right?
I saw that. Trash pandas, something like
Oh, that was my favorite hat. I got to get one of those. How can it get any more fun? Minor league base. Nothing says minor league baseball like because it's Huntington, Alabama, I believe, which is the home of the Jet Propulsion Lab for NASA.
Right.
So it's literally a raccoon in a makeshift trash can rocket ship.
I just saw that hat this weekend. Yeah. And it's enjoyable with what the Dunedin Blue Jays bring to the field. These guys, as old as I am, they're like a kid. They're the young kids out there, and they're living the dream. I mean, they have a chance. Their name is on the scoreboard. They're playing pro baseball. It's a long ways from downtown Toronto, but hey, there's guys that make it, and that's what they got to do to make it. So.
And then there's my old saying: a day at the ballpark is better than a day most places. Just saying.
Yeah, that's right. That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
I will say this though, for the scoreboard that you mentioned, just to make the joke and the play on words here. Apparently, Addison Barger hates himself a little bit. Didn't he hit a home run off of his face on the scoreboard the other day?
I remember that.
I remember reading it. And I'm like, no. And then I saw the highlight, and I'm like, yeah, he did.
It's funny, man. Right. If you've been to the stadium, right next door is an elementary school, and there's been balls that clear the back screen, and I'm thinking,
oh, wow.
Man, what a day for these kids. They're outside at PE, and all of a sudden here comes a baseball.
It's hopefully they don't have like my co-host Liz and wear it a little bit too closely.
Oh, poor Liz.
I don't know if you saw that baseball card or not, but I'll make sure I bring it with me and I'll show you.
I would like to see that. Yes.
Liz is really a true collectible. I'm not just saying that in all levels of that. I love her to death, but she's literally a collectible.
Well, should we save her a spot at the lunch table next Wednesday?
I would love to, but I don't think she wants to do too much traveling around right now outside of Canada. So I respect that.
Okay.
So we'll get her there. But someday that will be happening.
Good.
But on that note, so it is the 50th anniversary. There's all sorts of people doing things like this mug that I was showing you before the show, that people are doing things for the 50th anniversary and whatnot. Like I said, I feel like it needs to be celebrating Dunedin just as much, because this is the 50th year they've been playing with all of you. Has there been anything that outside the golf cart parade and some of these other things that we've been chit-chatting that you guys have had a chance to do?
Craig, that's a great question. I live on Douglas Avenue. The stadium's on Douglas Avenue. The light poles are decorated. The banners are up. Our merchants have been incredible. There's very few stores or shops you can go in that don't have the Welcome Back Blue Jays banner, the signs, the schedules. So, and that's important, not only to support the team, but that's also promoting the visitors, the tourists, the fans that are in town. So I think, the banners at City Hall, we've done it. We've done, I think, as much as we can. And if there's something else, this Dunedin City Commission, the city of Dunedin, we will do whatever it takes to make them even feel more welcome. We have a good relationship with the office, meaning the Jays office here in Dunedin. They're more than just, people I talk to. I consider them to be friends, and we have an open working relationship, and they do what we ask, and we do what they ask to make it even better.
Perfect. And I with all the wonderful things that we have going on right now, I would be doing our fans of this show a disservice if I didn't talk about how critical it was that you all kept the Blue Jays in Dunedin, because there was a dark time, and I was one of those ones that feared it as well, that I was worried that I was going to miss my little home away from home when I decided to take a vacation, especially for our baseball vacation.
Sure.
And it was, I don't know how close it got, and you don't need to get into crazy details or anything, but I would love to know just some of those pieces on what it turned into. And it turned into one of the most beautiful complexes you can see in baseball. And I hope I get a chance to see it in person when I'm down there. We'll see what happens, but it is just insanely powerful what for the brand of the Blue Jays, for the city of Dunedin, what you all have now with the product in the city there.
That's great. That's the way you worded that. And I understand it. The Jays needed, they needed a game day facility, and there were 4 partners that came together. Maybe everybody didn't agree. Maybe everybody didn't really like each other, but between the city of Dunedin, Pinellas County, the state of Florida, and the biggest contributor being the Toronto Blue Jays, everyone sat down and hashed this out. And there were some real quality people that came before me. I always got things, the next day or 2 days later. And, it was a group that was committed. And once the Blue Jays said, yes, this is where we want to be, it really put it in motion. And between those four teammates coming together, and then, of course, it included it used to be called the Engelbert Complex. Now it's referred to as the PDC, the Player Development Complex. And I understand the team wanting to be able to get their players in to rehab and get them back on the field, to regenerate, rehab, and heal. And I fortunately have had a chance to go behind the curtain and see how that facility is set up. And that's high tech. That's
we actually got a slight peek behind the curtain last week, because we had a friend of a friend that is actually a Blue Jays trainer, Rafi, and he was on the show last week with us, and we had a great time talking just how do you keep in shape, how do you do this, how do you get, it was just, and then obviously just hearing his mind blow on all the tools that he has at his disposal in that player development center. It looks amazing from the TV, and just knowing, that they have something that they can market. 1,000% to be able to bring better players in for free agency, knowing that they, I honestly think that this was a big piece of Max Scherzer actually coming back for this season, let alone getting him last year, because the support staff and everything is in that facility that everybody is, to your point, came together and actually made.
I'm sure that those free agent players, they have handlers and agents, and it's got to fit into the equation. If there is an injury, this is where you're going to go. The weather's conducive to training. The facility is probably as modern as you're going to find in Major League Baseball. And I think myself as a Dunedin City Commissioner, I'm probably as proud of what we have up there at the development complex as I am the stadium for game day experience. It's a good mix. Yes, they are about 3 miles apart. There was nothing we could do. There was,
logistically, you're not going to knock the school down. Though. You were talking about peppering baseballs onto, that. I think that might be a little bit of political backlash.
Exactly. The school or the library, right? And we had the facility, we had the land, and that's the state of the art facility.
Yeah. So I want to talk about the ballpark, which I'm dying to see because I have not seen any of the renovations yet. I'm going to see them a week from today at 1:00. And I'm dying to see it because I loved how it was. And that was no ding about, how it definitely had its aesthetic and it needed some work. I'm not knocking that.
Yeah.
But there was something about the soul of that ballpark that you were just right on the action. The players are always right at your fingertips. My daughter got so many Dunedin Blue Jays autographs over the years. It's not even funny. And it's just all those wonderful pieces. I was worried with a renovation that it would lose that soul. And as soon as I saw it in pictures and saw it on TV, I'm like, nope, that is nailed perfect right on the spot. And like I said, I look forward to checking the boxes saying I've seen it in person and can say that same thing this coming week because I'm going to be there a lot.
Like I said, I can't wait to see you. Well, when we went to hire the architects, I was fortunate. I was the only non-Blue Jay or non-city person that got to sit on the architectural selection committee. And I believe the firm was Populous, and I went on and read about them, and they designed, if I'm wrong on this, I'm sure I'll hear about it, but like City Field, Target Field, soccer facilities, they design stadiums all over the world. And so I'm thinking, my goodness, our 8,000, 8,500 seat stadium downtown Dunedin, these guys can handle it. But it was really interesting to hear, professional architects that's all they do is design stadiums, and prior, the old stadium, all the seats faced straight. So now it's, at least your seat is angled. You're looking towards the pitcher's mound, and
not like this.
Yeah, exactly. Go home with a stiff neck. But
it was so funny because that's the same thing that happened to the down bowl part of the Rogers Center when everything got renovated from the original Skydome schematics. It's amazing how that park got overlooked in so many ballparks over the years, because I remember even when I went to Cincinnati in the old ballpark, it was like that too.
So I told this guy from Populous, I said, there's really, you don't find that true baseball purist who's sitting with his tablet on his lap and keeping score, balls and strikes. And I said, this next generation, these millennials, if they got battery on their phone and they got a little bit of money on their debit card, they want a game day experience. They want to be able to get a beer, get their picture taken, share it with their friends. And they're like, we understand that this is what we need to do to make it, once you get that generation in, you got to keep them,
exactly.
And I think that architectural group did a heck of a good job, and you do see it. Everybody's got their cell phone out. I don't know who they're calling or texting, but they got it out and they're doing what they need to do.
There you go. So I'll be the one that's still, even at the age of 40, I'm that weird age group that it's like, okay, great. I remember no internet. I remember having all this stuff because obviously I'm an engineer by day. I had to learn all the tech stuff, hence the show.
Yeah, right.
But I'll be still that guy that's sitting there with an actual program doodling on the scorecard and everything. There's something tactile and fun about it to me. It's just those kind of silly things that, you don't, like you said, it's an experience. That's when I go, and the beautiful thing that I get from collecting all those programs over the years is I circle guys I liked that day when I was watching the game, like on my own, crummy version of a scout.
Right,
And there's some
right.
guys I've circled over the years where they played because I traveled for my day job and everything, and I would just pick a ballpark and go to it. That I got to see Randy Arozarena for one, when he was playing really low in the minor league system. He was one of those guys that's like, yep, I was right. I got that one. And I get to go back and look at some of those minor league teams when guys make it and see that. And one of my favorite stories that I don't think I got the pleasure of telling you is I saw Alejandro Kirk play in Bluefield, West Virginia for the Bluefield Blue Jays.
Yeah, right.
Before you guys got him. And I'm sitting there in the booth with the announcer because he's like, "I'll just come up and have a beer with me." And I'm not sorry, Zach. There was no beer, but it was about like that. But I go up in the booth and he just goes, "Now, Craig, pay attention when this man hits." And I'm like, "Okay, great." Everybody in the ballpark stops. The beer people that were in the little ballpark and everything put the tray down and watched and everything. And Kirk walks up to the plate, and I'm like, "Okay, all right, let's go." And he takes like a 3-1 pitch over the batter's eye into the West Virginia wilderness, and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm circling him on my on my program here."
Yeah, man, you
And
called that one. Yeah.
And I got to meet Smokey the Bear that night, so it was even a bigger win.
Hey, I got to commend you if you recognized that Kirk was going to be where he is. Hey, yeah. If you're ever,
I fully credit that one for Zach Helton, the former Bluefield Blue Jays announcer, still the Bluefield. It's just not the Blue Jays anymore. But
right.
To that point, he's like, "You just need to stop and watch." And I'm like, "Okay," because funny enough, there's a lot of other guys that we got to see with Alan Roden and some of these other ones that were on that team too. And he was clearly the one that jumped off the paper. Has there been somebody like that in your plethora of games that you've been to with the Dunedin Blue Jays that has somebody that was like that popped off the paper for you or just maybe an epic memory of a home run or something like that, or a walk-off?
That's a great question. And
that's why I get paid the no bucks here.
Yeah, exactly. one of the things I do pay attention to is, old Blue Jays fans with jerseys that they've had for years. You see Tulowitzki, you see, you see all those vintage players. Well, This week there was a young girl and she had on an Aaron Sanchez jersey.
There it is.
And I remember one of the first times I walked in that stadium and he was warming up and you could hear the catcher's mitt and it made you stop and listen to it again. It's like, man, this is somebody that we normally don't hear throwing. And I remember hearing him crack that catcher's mitt. And I sort of became a fan of his right after that. I actually ran into him at a bagel shop one day. And he said, "How do you know me?" I said, "Well, man, I'm a fan of yours, buddy." But I think
you're in my town.
Yeah, exactly. It was like a Einstein's bagel, and that's what he said. "How did you know me?"
There you go.
But that would, it's just one of those moments where you walk in and you're like, "Oh my God, listen to that catcher's mitt crack."
He's actually got a good chance of making a comeback this year with the Kansas City Royals in the bullpen. He's still fighting for that dream, man, because you were 100% right. He was something to watch. In that 2016 season, he was incredible for the Blue Jays going to the playoffs and a part of a crazy good pitching staff. But at the end of the day, it just, that's the unfortunate reality for everybody with no matter what it is. Some days you got it and some days you can't get it back together. And that's unfortunately the story of how Aaron Sanchez went from being one of the best prospects in Major League Baseball and being a Blue Jay and looking like he was just going to cruise to a Cy Young award. And then things happen. So,
if I'm not mistaken, he had really kind of, was it like finger issues? It wasn't, was it like
I want to say it was like
fingernail
things and
blisters. That's what it was. Yeah, it was just hard to believe that. I mean, he's not small. He was a lot bigger than I was. A blister could derail a career like he was on.
Yeah, you can't spin it. You can't spin it. That's the unfortunate reality of it. But never. He's clearly figured something out, and he had a heck of a end of the year last year in the minors, and I really wouldn't surprise if he runs into this year with some kind of a chip on his shoulder and runs with it with the Kansas City Royals. I really would like to, as a major fan of his back in the day, like it sounds like yourself, I would love to see him get the success that he could get, even if it was just in the bullpen for a major league team.
Right.
I feel like he missed out on something. That's the unfortunate reality. So there you go. Got some peanut gallery questions seeing our Twitter feeds down. Everybody's starting to trickle over to our fun that is the YouTube account. It looks like our buddy Mike B, frequent flyer on the show, is wondering if you've gotten a chance to watch JoJo Parker at all. The Blue Jays technically top prospect if you didn't have Trey Savage technically taking that spot.
I think yes, I did. And then there's another shortstop. Is it
Namala.
Okay.
Arjun Namala. Yep.
That's it. And, but yes, I have had a chance to see both of them. I know it's a long ways to the Rogers Center, but they're young, they're good, they're talented. And this JoJo, I watched the MLB draft the night he was picked, and I think obviously that the right people, he caught the attention of the right people, and I think that kid's definitely on the upward swing.
Yeah, and to that point, he gets to start with you probably this year, so we'll see how fast his express train is.
Yeah,
because there's apparently something going on there. Did you build something that went right from Dunedin to Toronto that I should be aware of, so I can at least come visit quicker?
I wish I knew the kid. Hey, I'm Steve. I could, I'm your new friend here.
Yeah, exactly. So in the midst of the renovations, the Players Center, all the fun you guys get to do with the baseball stuff with the Toronto Blue Jays, what is the one thing that stands out to you that you're like, this is my favorite piece of what we did, or some of those kind of things? Is there one thing that stands out?
Absolutely. We sat in those meetings with the architects and with the contractors, and Craig, I thought we had just absolutely reinvented the wheel. We talked about labor shortages, labor strikes, supply chains, sinkholes, hurricanes, whatever could happen. We were in that room, and I thought, man, we just absolutely filled and checked every block. We never, ever took into consideration COVID-19. So we had that thing ready to right. We had that thing ready to go, and then all of a sudden,
I figured you were more worried about cup holders. You're talking.
Well,
that was a joke for Liz, because that was the one thing she asked for.
I remember hearing. So we thought we had it under control, and I was fortunate because I did have access to go in during the construction, and of course I had to have certain shoes. They gave me goggles and a face mask. And I'm like, the nearest construction guy is in center field. He's 400 feet away. But that's how bad it was. So
it's how bad it was.
I will never forget that. And if you don't mind, I have just a little bit of a second part of that. This Friday, which is Friday the 13th, on it would have been March 13th of 2020. There was about a dozen of us that we go to a lot of the games. We're all downtown locals here. And one of my friends, his daughter had come to visit from Chicago, and it was that Friday. And I said, just think, she's been in the airport, she's been in the airplane, and now she's talking to us. What if this is real? Well, that next day is when they shut down the world, and this, and my son, you're right. So this Friday, my son and his buddies that were there in 2020, they're going to go to the game with me. And I made a joke, it was 6 years ago.
You all ruined my road trip. I'm going to be very upset. It's the first real vacation I'm taking in like 5 years.
Hey, Craig, I come back and go to the game. I sit by a guy who's a cutout. So I find myself talking to this cardboard cutout.
There you go. Good stuff.
But that would be a memory. As I hope we never have to experience it again. But man, I was right there in the front row.
So this brings up another question, and this is just where my brain goes, because it's literally random fandom going on in here, hence my company name. In the midst of this fun, you just get a ballpark. Everything's back in business. You're ready to run into spring training. COVID happens. Now you literally have to be the home to a Major League Baseball team for, we didn't know how long. They had to do the renovations in Buffalo to make it easier for travel. I personally think you guys had a wonderful new facility that they should have maybe just stayed there. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yep.
As much as I was very, very thankful that the both Toronto Blue Jays were only an hour away from me here in Rochester, New York, all of a sudden.
Right.
But how did that kind of thing go down? Because I just imagine as an engineer, when things go nuts, things go nuts. I imagine that was one of those things that was very quick and you had to act, and maybe some decisions just had to happen.
I remember that one of the Jays employees, he walked around with this. It was like it looked like a stop sign, but it was blue, and it said "mask up." So you quick pull your mask down, eat a popcorn, take a drink of your beer, put it back up. Well, if you forgot to, he'd hold this sign, "mask up." But when we knew we were getting a chance to host the team, when the team was going to start the season here, that was big. They brought in those, I'll never forget they brought in those overhead lights they were like, I guess almost like on some kind of a semi truck. And I understand that they were for the HD TVs as well as the cameras, and for that level to be able, I guess, to make sure that it was properly lit. But, I got to see the Angels. So all of a sudden, like a dozen sheriff's deputies gather at the gate. And I'm like, well, this isn't exactly like the cheerleaders walking out. So here comes Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani. And it was so intimate in that stadium. I could have reached over and patted him on the back.
And then that's a team you would normally never see in the Grapefruit League. So that was even an added bonus to start with that.
Exactly. I got to see Garrett Cole pitch. And I had never, I've been to many, many Yankees spring training games. And if I had ever watched him pitch, I don't recall, but it was kind of cool. To get to see that high level, that high profile, that high performance baseball here in our city. You're walking downtown, I'm walking to the stadium. Here's folks with Angels T-shirts on, and I'm like, you don't see that around here during spring training.
Yeah, exactly. And that to that point, I'm sure you had a few locals that were from LA and whatnot that wanted to make sure they could wear their gear out to a ball game for a change, not hide in their houses. So in the midst of that, I just, like I said, everybody had everything they had to do and do that. And it's just, like I said, I logistically knowing how, because I do robotics and automation for a living, I'm like, oh my God, I can't even imagine the stuff you would have had to go through. Yes, they're there, and that was the first year the ballpark opened and all these things, but it still had to have been just, I feel like it would have been like, okay, great, we got this thing, we missed these three things, then we got to do this thing, and then it was just probably a logistic nightmare. And then when it finally had that wonderful rewarding of they're playing a Major League Baseball game in our city, that had to have been a wow factor for all that hard work that you all just got done doing.
Yeah. It was a real special night, and I was there. I went to as many games as I could. Of course, you had to pay ballpark prices. It wasn't like going to spring training games.
Yeah, you didn't pay $15. But I'll say my tickets were a little more than $15, but just saying.
I call that the World Series hangover. Yeah, I know.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, but it was, and I saw a lot of cooperation out of the locals. We as locals, Dunedinites, got out and we supported the whole cause, not only as Blue Jays fans, but let's get together and, we're in this thing together. Let's all go support baseball and what they're doing for us.
There you go.
Sports heals, that brings people together.
And it's like I'm just going to give you segue points and just check this one off, because I was going to start asking about some of the more recent community things that Blue Jays fans have gotten to see. And if there's some things that we hadn't gotten to see, we got to see all those wonderful watch parties, even, as watching the World Series broadcasts and everything like that. Walk me through some of those things. I know Stuart and yourself and all these people are doing a great job of just building up the Blue Jay fan base, along with the Dunedin Blue Jays, obviously. But it just seems like there's a lot going on all year round and supporting this team.
Yeah. There's 5 commissioners, Mayor Freeney, Vice Mayor Walker, Commissioner Gow, Commissioner Dugard, and myself. So not only are we committed to the city, but we're committed to the Blue Jays. So after game 1 and game 2, people, I'm sure people were I'm going to go to this sports bar. I'm going to go to this watch party at someone's house. So someone had the idea. Let's do it. It's called Pioneer Park, and it's downtown, right in the middle of downtown. And we brought in a big television. It was on a truck, and I don't know, maybe the first night, 100 people, lawn chairs, everybody having a good time. Mm-hmm. Well, they continued to win. And every time
and the
it
party
got a
kept
little
getting
bit bigger.
bigger.
Yeah. So, and Mayor Freeney and I we were in Toronto, and she was getting text messages, and so was I. Then I said, man, here's Dunedin at its finest. I just got one. There's no beer. And the second one, I didn't know about this. So I'm like, now how Dunedin is that? No beer, and nobody told me. And I'll tell you what, Craig,
And
from there,
judging from my walking around Dunedin, the beer thing shouldn't have been a problem to find.
Yeah,
There's
that's
a brewery
exactly.
here, there's a bar here, there's an Irish pub there.
Yeah.
All these
And you know, those breweries, man, they stepped up. They stepped up with their product. The local Rotary Club stepped up to donate their time. And we have a very big community partner, Lane's Lemonade. And I shouldn't be advertising for people, but they're the ones that stepped up.
I'm literally wearing my advertising. It's not a problem.
Yeah. So if I got in trouble on that, I'm sorry. But, you know, they came out and they supplied refreshments, and it just kept continuing to grow until we outgrew the park. And then, of course, we wanted to and got permission from the Jays to, you know, hey, can we have the keys to the front door of the stadium? You know, we bring in 3,000 people.
And there you go. You should have been, hopefully you were charging tickets so like a charity or something.
Wow. We were so doggone happy to have it.
Exactly. And like I said, I love that Liz refers to this one as the Blue Jays sleepover, because they actually, when the team went to the World Series to LA, they actually sold tickets to stay in the Rogers Center and watch the games. Really? And the one game they were there forever. So Liz was referring it to the 18-inning game for the Seattle series as the Blue Jays Skydome sleepover, because you were there until like 2:00 in the morning.
Yes. Yes. And I got to say, I didn't make it. I am not a night owl, but Mayor Freeney and maybe like the all-night deputy downtown sat at the park, and I understand she sat there and watched up until the last inning. So it shows the loyalty of our community. Went
viral. To that point, I was ready to text her and be like, "No!"
Does anybody know where you are, Mo?
Oh God. But so I want to make sure I give you some time to talk about Dunedin as a whole, because we try to keep this show in around an hour, and I don't want to eat up all your time, even though obviously we're having fun.
Yes.
So on that note, give me the sales pitch, the idea of, I know you got the, St. Patrick's Day stuff going on soon at Flanagan's and whatnot, and all these other wonderful things going on around town. For the Blue Jays fans that will be basically around town for the last week or so here of spring training, give us some insight. Where should they go? What are the local places? Here, I'm giving you a platform to advertise if you would like.
Right. I make it a point to I go through the crowd, and every game I make sure that I get up and introduce myself to fans. Yes, there's blowback about my friends didn't want to come this year, and I finally have turned that into, that's fine, but I'm going to focus on you because you are here. We're a city that, 38,000 people, and during spring, the Jays are, responsible for hundreds. And in fact, I've heard this would be like the entire Tampa Bay area, maybe up to 1,500 additional jobs, millions of dollars in economic impact. I asked the guy the other day at this stadium, I said, where did you guys find a hotel? He goes, yeah, right. There's no hotels in Dunedin. As he's uptight, I'm thinking, great. To
that point, I'm staying in Palm Harbor, but I'm going to be basically living in Dunedin, so it is what it is.
Right. So
what Ubers are for, Stephen.
Yeah, exactly. And we're a welcoming city. We appreciate what the Jays do. There are easily our biggest partner. If there's a parade, if there's a function, if there's something at school, they're usually the number one sponsor and the number one supporter. So I think that, I don't want people to ever just get hung up on what they do on the field, but it's what they do for our community. While you're here, we have a very vibrant downtown. We have a beautiful golf club. We have Caladesi Island. You can enjoy the day on the beach. We have fishing charters out of our marina. We have something for everybody. And I told somebody the other day, even if you're by yourself, you're not alone here in Dunedin. These merchants, these vendors, they will take care of you, and we welcome you. We're glad to have you, and and I hope you feel the same about us while you're here. I love hearing the feedback. Yeah, 1 out of 10 I hear. They tell me, they give me they talk, they turn it political, and I'm like, we're not going there. We're not going there. We're here to play baseball and watch a baseball game. So
exactly. And to that point, there's so many things that people can get hung up and talked on that whole thing. And then there's the the international stuff. There's this thing, that thing. We're at a ballpark. Yeah, let's enjoy the beer. Let's enjoy the game and enjoy the competition, which is why I'm loving the World Baseball Classic. That's why I'm dying for real baseball season. That's getting close though.
2 weeks. 2 weeks. Yeah.
I honestly, this is how silly that I just did. And I guess I got to tell this story on the air because Liz is going to make fun of me if I don't. So she called me up and she goes, "Hey, I got singles tickets. I got, come up to opening day." And I'm like, "Yes, I'm in." I didn't even think about the date. I'm going to be still coming home from visiting all of you. And I'll be probably back in Rochester, New York, just in time to sit down and watch the game that Friday night, let alone drive an additional 3 hours and pick up a friend on the way to be able to get up to the Sky Dome and whatnot. But at the end of the day, I already got a few trips planned. I cannot wait to go hang out with my wonderful friends that I have up in the city of Toronto now too. Apparently I'm going to make a few more while I'm down in Dunedin, and we're just going to have fun. That's what it's all about.
I go every year. I sometimes refer to it as a goodwill trip. This year, of course, twice when the mayor and I went back to the series. But
which you talked to us about after.
Yes, that's right.
Or
that's
during.
Right.
During.
It was during. Yeah, we were staying on opposite ends of the area of the Rogers Center. But yeah, that's right. We did go live. It's a wonderful city. It's a baseball city. And one thing I can never get over is what great fans the Blue Jays have. You sit in the crowd and you listen to them. I've said this before. They talk about, I saw so-and-so's wife and his kids. All those kids have grown since last year. So it's not just, this.
There's the community part.
That's exactly. And, that you can't put a price tag on that. And they are good 100%. Fans. They're smart fans. They know what they're talking about. And they're so loyal. Hey, the Jays can be very proud of what they've put together in the last 50 seasons.
100%. And that story is still being written. Hopefully it has a few more World Series trophies in the case very soon. But
yes,
I'm the weird one. Like I said, I got into Blue Jay fandom, as a kid. I'm on the opposite side of Lake Ontario. There should be no reason I'm not a Yankee fan or a Red Sox fan or even a Cleveland Indian Guardian fan at this point. And I remember when that ballpark opened up, we used to, sit around Lake Ontario. That's where we are right here in Rochester, go fishing and stuff. And we have the radio there and we'd pick up the Blue Jays games clear as day across the lake. Yeah. And you hear the names, you hear this, you looked up in the newspaper the next day because yes, I'm that old apparently. but at the end of the day, it was one of those things that just got fun, and I was doing it with my dad, and he was never a Yankee fan. He liked George Brett, hated the Yankees, all these guys, and then the Blue Jays being a team in 1977, he kind of latched on to that. That's actually a quasi-local team. Let's just do that. And I know him and my uncles went up to Exhibition Stadium all the time. And then, me and my brother were old enough to go to ball games. That was right when the Sky Dome opened.
Yes.
You jump into that ballpark with 50,000 screaming, Canadians. It doesn't matter who you are, whatever team that was going to be, you get infected with it. And in 1991, when that happened, I was sold. Had all these wonderful players, great names. And the fact that I got to continue watching them on TV finally, in 92 and 93. And here we are, how many years later, just like yourself, being a fan.
And Craig, it's just really special. In fact, the other day, a lady told me, she's a local here in town. Which she said was, it probably had way more bearing than what she even understood. She goes, "I'm a Blue Jays fan, not a baseball fan." But I'm like, that is a neat statement. I support the Blue Jays. I don't like baseball, but I love the Blue Jays.
There you go. Either way, I'm strangely okay with it.
But, to Shelby Nelson here in Dunedin, Matt Woke, Charles Henderson, those guys, they're locals. They're our neighbors. They're our friends. And they keep that thing go in the right direction. They're at every Little League opening day. they give back so much to the community. You know, when sometimes the biggest gripe is I couldn't find a parking spot, or like this other guy couldn't find a hotel. Well, man, you know, that means we're doing the right thing.
At least I'm a local enough for it, I guess, at the end of the day, because how many times I've been down there, because like I said, it was basically a 10-year span. I was down there for 2 trips a year.
Yeah.
And there was work trips that I was going on, and just let me wrap this one around. I was out of the office for 8 months those years, 4 months at a time in El Paso, Texas. Where do you think I actually went? I didn't come home some of those times. I went from El Paso to Dunedin, then went back to Dunedin, then went back. So I kind of had my home away from home, especially with my friends living there at the time. It was a no-brainer at the end of the day. But like I said, cannot say enough good things. I cannot say how forward me and my family and my brother and everybody and my wife are looking forward to being down there. I'm just doing baseball. Unfortunately, I'm sorry to say I'm bringing a few Yankee fans with me, not just Blue Jays.
It's all right. Yeah, that's right. You. So, Craig, how many? What are they going to finish this year? What's the record you think?
I'm thinking we have another 90-win team. And that's the unfortunate reality, because I do think that the Blue Jays, the Yankees, the Red Sox, and the Baltimore Orioles are going to beat the living snot out of each other this year. I think that's the unfortunate reality. And there's going to be 3 teams from the American League East again this year in the playoffs. And I don't see a way out of it. But I will make this statement. Regardless of how bad they beat each other up, I think the Blue Jays have the best positioning, and they are going to hopefully repeat as the division winners again.
I love it. I had them down for 94 wins. So you and I, we're close. I'll hold you to that. Well,
there you go.
So
maybe we have to have a stupid bet, or I'll pay for a round of golf or something. We'll go from there.
I'm the world's worst golfer.
I drink beer and I swing hard in case I hit it. So, but on that note, that's like the one thing I have. And honestly, I was debating about bringing my clubs. Maybe I'll have to figure that one out now.
Wow. Yeah, absolutely. But I can't wait to next week to meet you face to face. And we'll, if we get a few minutes, I'll show you around Dunedin. And it's not a big town, but it's a fun town. It's a good place.
From what I recall from being sober and stumbling around, it was both all right.
Well,
might have been a couple long nights at Kelly's or a long brunch, or I look forward to it, but I will. Go ahead.
No, I said if I open my windows, I can hear Kelly's music. That's how close I live down there. So yeah.
There you go. Perfect. So on that note, like I said, you've done a great job of talking. Is there anything else you would like to hit on before we sign off tonight, Stephen?
Nope. I just want to say thank you, and to all the people that are listening and watching. Think about us here in Dunedin. We'd love to see you. We'd love to have you, and hey, you can reach out to me at City Hall, and I'd love to meet you face to face. So, welcome aboard to all of, and let's make it happen again in 2026.
Sounds good. A few hundred of us still even with the Twitter problem tonight, still with us live here tonight. I'm very happy with it. So if you missed the show, everybody, I'm going to post it on Twitter afterwards. And so on that note, Stephen, can't say enough things. Thank you very much. We love having, good baseball and just in general conversations with you. Love talking with Mo, who I get a chance to see again next week.
Yes.
I will text you when I get to town, but feel free to hang out for a moment after we go off the air here.
Good.
So,
Craig, I need to run, but I'll hook up with you next week when you're in town.
Sounds good. I'll shoot you a message when I get to town. Thank you very much, Blue Jays fans. And as always, come stop by. You can go. No worries.
Take care.
Take care. So
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Blue Jays fans. Appreciate you being on the show here tonight and chit-chatting with us. Make sure you check out our friends at JBW Baseball and our other friends at Dugout Mugs if you want something cool that's a little off the beaten trail Blue Jays-wise. Both those links and all the wonderful promo codes are on our website at jbirdwatching.com. We'll talk to you soon. And as always, let's go Blue Jays. Cheers.